Hi guys, my name is Jasmine and I am your small town gray witch here to talk to you about Halloween, or also known as Samhain. Now, I bet you, unless you are in the witchy world, at least a lot of people I hang out with, come in contact with, I should say, don't actually know what Samhain is. They don't even know what I'm talking about when I say, hey, I need October 31st off because I need to celebrate Samhain. So, they have no idea what I'm talking about. So what is Samhain? So Samhain in the pagan world is Halloween. Halloween is more of the Christian abstract commercial-esque name, also known as All Hallows Eve, which would be more of the saintly days, also known as All Saints Day. So in the pagan world, we get Samhain. Now, Samhain is the witch's new year. It's the end of a year. So on Beltane, we kind of celebrate the birth of the spring, and on Samhain, we're actually celebrating the death of the earth. We're celebrating preparing for the winter, where things start to close down, hibernate, get cold. Samhain's that end and move into. So, if Beltane is the opposite, and we celebrate birth, in Samhain, we celebrate death. Now, death is not a scary concept when it comes to us witches. We work in the liminal, which means we work in the after spirits. We work in more than just our physical contributions. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, gotta fix it. It was bugging me. So therefore, we're actually working in the liminal, is what it's called. Or a lot of hedge witches are working in the liminal. I know, it's like jumping the hedge. So, everyone kind of fears Samhain because it's death, and death is scary, and death is horrible, and spirits are horrible, and that's just fear mongering. Death is literally a part of life. It's the beginning of a new chapter. It's just the unknown scares us humans because that's how we survive. We have survival instincts. It goes back to the days of the old where we try to survive, in which case due to our survival instincts, and then anything that is not equaling those survival instincts is scary. So dark is scary, death is scary, the spooky man in the closet's scary because it's the survival instinct. Now, witches acknowledge it as the new year. So Chinese has their own new year, witches have their own new year, and then I know that January 1st is the Gregorian calendar's new year. And what do we do on this day? We talk to the dead. This could be, yes, deities and spirits and the conjuring. No, yes, we might have rituals where we try to invoke spirit communication, meditation, things like that. But a lot of it's just honoring the ancestors, the people who came before us, the people who did things that led to us being here. So, a lot of our practices have to do with honoring the ancestors. It is what it is. I keep knocking things over, so sorry. But that is what we're doing. Like, I haven't met a witch who doesn't honor a deity, an ancestor, something on Samhain. That is the basics of that. So, and I know I do. I honor the ancestors. I ask for a good year. I do my blessings. I ward my house. And then I might do a ritual to push myself as goals for the new year. Kind of concept before winter comes in. Everyone asks me, what do I do on Samhain? How do I celebrate Samhain? How do I celebrate Halloween? Now, when I treat Halloween and Samhain kind of like two different holidays almost. You have the Halloween season, and then you have Samhain the day. So the Halloween season, me and my husband spend a lot of time together. We tend to go to haunted houses because it's fun. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with looking at the spooky bats or doing a fall walk or just enjoying the season. There's nothing wrong with that. It's very commercialized and I get it, but it's fun. And if you're having fun, you're celebrating. That's how I really, really see it. When it comes to Samhain, though, I do have some traditions of my own. And then I know of some traditions that other witches do. So I know most witches, or a good portion of them, I shouldn't say most, do a dumb supper. And I don't mean like dumb as in stupid, I mean dumb as in silent. It's old word, don't shoot the messenger kind of concept. Because I know a lot of people have an issue with it calling it dumb supper, but it means to not speak. So they literally, they prep dinner, huge meal, and then they leave a seat open for the spirits that come in. And they'll even make a plate for the spirits for offering. They'll put it out on their stoop when it's done, or they'll leave it on their table. And then they'll for a couple days and then compost it, bury it. I've seen a whole bunch of get rid of it. I don't really suggest throwing it in the bin, but you do what you gotta do. And they leave that seat open, and they will sit there and eat their huge meal in complete silence, listening to the spirits around them, listening to feeling the energy, almost like it's giving the room space for the spirits to talk instead of just having all of us constantly talking, which kind of muffles the spirits. So a lot of witches will do that with their families, and then once dessert is served, during dessert, that's when they talk. And they talk about their experiences throughout the silent part of supper. They talk about what they want to do for the year. They talk about what they felt, how they're experiencing, so on and so forth. But they do that during the dessert part. So that's kind of the concept of dumb supper. I know a lot of people do All Saints Day. They light candles, so on and so forth. That's not my jazz. I have a different approach. I don't have a lot of people to sit down and eat Halloween dinner with or Samhain dinner with. So I can eat it by myself and sit there and do a dumb supper. But like, I'm just not talking to myself. Instead, I rather go and take... So I live in a very small town, and my family is decently well established in this town. I am the 4th generation on the same plot of land. It's pretty funny. They call it my last name compound. It's pretty freaking funny. My family does not celebrate Halloween, so when I'm kind of an outlier on that aspect. So what I do is I take apples to the members of my family who have passed. And yes, the members who have passed in my family are exceedingly Christian. At least like 75% of them. Some of them not so much, but most of them are Christian. And they are... the reason why I do this is I'm not trying to step over their religion or their boundaries, but they might go, you know what, I don't agree with what you do, Jazz, but I appreciate you thought of me when you were doing it. And that's the concept that I am trying to get through when it comes to bringing an apple to them. It's, hey, you might not agree with my practices or what I do, but I'm thinking of you. And you're welcome around me if you want to. And who knows, maybe they had a thought process after passing. I know enlightenment can come after passing. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? So that is what I do, is I literally go around to cemeteries and things like that where my ancestors... And when I say ancestors, I don't mean like... I'm French, so I'm going to this random French people. No, I mean like my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather, my uncle, my husband's grandfather. Those people have passed in our lives, whether we knew them really well or if we just semi knew them, and it's an offering. So that is definitely at least one practice that I tend to do, and I've done it for quite a few years now. So, the second thing I do for Samhain is I actually bake. I don't bake very well. I don't bake very often, but I bake an apple dish. Now, if you notice, I bring apples to the cemetery and I bake an apple dish. And I tend to drop one off at my work, and maybe sometimes I'll have Josh bring his into work, and then they go out to the people, and usually there is like a sigil of protection or a sigil of wealth or a sigil of good blessings of some sort in the food. And people eat my magic. I'm not shy to say that I am a witch. I definitely let them know that there is magic in this dish, and it's their choice if they want to eat it, because I am surrounded by a bunch of different religions, especially like church going Christians, like the pamphlet pushing kinds. So I definitely try to give them that respect of, hey, if you don't like what I do, consent. You can choose to eat it, you can choose not to eat it. I don't do this on every dish I ever bring, but definitely on Samhain. Samhain's a hard one for me. I definitely do that. I usually get 3 different responses. I love you, Jasmine. I'm not eating your magic. Which sounds really wrong. 2, it's full of woo-woo shit, Jazz? Yeah. Is it good woo-woo shit? Yeah. Nothing bad in it? Yeah. Alright, I'll eat it. Or 3, food is food is food is food. I don't give a fuck. So those are kind of... Yes, this is Voodoo. He is my kitty. And apparently, he's come to hang out. So, sorry about that. But usually those are the 3 options I get. Even when it comes to my grandmother, who is exceedingly Christian. She's like, I'll just pray over it. And I'm like, it's food. It's food. I'm not gonna be spiteful. It's food. And then usually I'll make a really good dinner for my husband and me. I will redo the boards. And then I usually have something personal planned, which this year I'm going to try to contact. Like, I've been in contact with this deity, and I really want to do something really good for him to say thank you, or her, talking about him. He's appeared to me as a him, so he gets him. And in which case, I'm going to try to say thank you for helping me with that. And that's my personal plan for this year. You can do whatever makes your heart feel happy. I'm tired of people going, oh, you have to do this, you have to do Dumb Summer, you have to do this. Do whatever makes your heart feel happy. Legitly. I cook my baked goods sometimes the night before, sometimes I do it the week before. If I don't feel like it, I just don't do it. I just don't do anything if I don't want to. This just happens to be what I wanted to do the last 3 or 4 years, so this is kind of the tradition that's forming. But I don't feel pushed to do it. I don't feel like I have to do it. This is just what I do. Now, I know there's a lot of fear-mongering and stuff like that, which I'm actually kind of tired of. And I know it probably better than at least some of you. So, backstory. I'll give you a backstory, okay? Okay. So, when I was younger, I was raised in a church. And the church was primarily 2 families. Mine and my aunt's. 1, because it was a small church, and 2, people had 10, 12 kids who had 10, 12 kids who had 10, 12 kids. If you have 100 people in your church, and 40 of them come from this family, and 30 of them come from that family, and the rest of them are scattered in there, it kind of makes up a good portion. And that family did not celebrate that. Neither of them did, but the church did not celebrate Halloween. It was actually taught to be the devil's holiday. It is the day that the devil can walk the earth and cause mayhem for Christians, which is just bloody ridiculous. I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. There's nothing I can say about it that's not. It is ridiculous. So, I wasn't allowed to celebrate Halloween until I was like 11, 12 with my friends. And that's because my dad finally stood up and said, look, she's 11, 12, let her go out with her friends. And then the church kind of shut down anyways, because obviously churches were, at least the church I was corrupt. Pastor wasn't doing what pastor should have been doing, and pastor wasn't preaching what pastor was doing, and this, that, and the other thing. So, after my current church shut down, and by the way, my mom was like, well, you never missed out because they had a what was it called? It was like, a Jesus party or a glory party or whatever, or a harvest godly party every year at the church. So that way the kids wouldn't get left out, and they would give out like cupcakes with Jesus crosses on them, and that made it better because we were in the church, so we were safe and we weren't missing out because Halloween. Instead of letting us make up our own minds, but that's what parents do. So just so you're aware, my mom's like, you never missed out, and I'm like, yeah, I wish I would have. I did miss out because I didn't learn history. I wasn't learning anything other than the crap you were pushing down my throat. So yeah, I missed out on knowledge. I missed out on learning. I missed out on friends. I missed out on experiencing because you were too scared of the devil. Bullshit. It's bullshit. I'm tired. It's bullshit. Sorry. So, there was a lot of fear mongering. We even went to a church after my church shut down. And that church, which was not family controlled, taught me a story about this holiday. So All Hallows Eve. It's story time. Did you know that All Hallows Eve is the day that the devil can walk the earth? And his spirits and demons can also walk the earth. Yep. And back in the day, they used to dress up like ghosts and ghouls and goblins and things like that. So that way they could leave their house without being possessed and tormented and all the other things. So they would hide amongst the spirits by dressing up like them so they could go from house to house. Just to say hi to their friends or go pick up some this or that or the other thing. So it wasn't trick or treat. It was them dressing up because they were petrified and they had to hide from the evil demons and spirits that walk the earth. And the reason why they leave out treats is to pretty much pacify the spirits. Like the spirits, please don't come and haunt us and hurt us and kill us and cause mayhem in our lives and cause our crops to go bad and things like that. So we'll leave you these goodies. And usually it was like bread, butter, milk. It wasn't candy. Like, it was treats of that age. Cookies. They could do cookies and breads and biscuits and muffins and that stuff, but not necessarily like the sugary sweets we know today. But they would leave them by their door to pacify the evil spirits, so the evil spirits would be pacified, and then they would move to a different house. And the reason why we do jack-o'-lanterns is because Jack was a good Christian boy. He was a good Christian boy. And his name was Jack. And he used to walk around without fear, without putting on the costume. He'd walk around with a lantern and banish the evil spirits and be like, in the name of the Lord, I banish you. And he wouldn't walk around with fear because he knew he had the Lord on his side. So good Christians who know they have the Lord on their side do not walk around in costume because they have nothing to fear. And the reason why we carve pumpkins is it's a jack with a lantern to remember how Jack had no fear. And they did pumpkins because not everybody could afford a lantern, but they could afford a gourd and a candle. But that's how we get jack-o'-lanterns, is because a good Christian boy did not fear because he had God on his side. That's literally what I was taught. I don't think half of it's true, if not all of it. So, I totally agree that they left out sweets to hand over to the ghosts, but not because they were petrified of them. And Samhain is a day that the veil does get thin, so ghosts do tend to, and I say ghosts, you could say spirits, deities, ancestors, whatever you want to call them, can reach out easier than other times of the year. The veil gets thin on Samhain and Beltane. They're kind of like the poles of the spiritual world. And in which case, we leave out offerings to say thank you for your help. Thank you for watching over us. Thank you for bringing us to where we are now, for who we are now, so on and so forth. It's not a, please don't harm me. It's a thank you. Because without the spirit world, we're spirits, so it's an acknowledgement of the other side, not so much a petrified thing. Yes, there are spirits out there that are darker and are a little more mischievous. But if you have your wards up, there's nothing to be afraid of. Own your home. That's all you gotta do is own your home, and they're not in there to try to go against you. They're in there to poke where they can. So just ward your home and chill out. When it comes to the whole jack-o'-lantern thing, yes, that is a thing. It's a ward. It's for protection. You bring a pumpkin in, you carve a face out of it. It's to ward against the darker entities. And when I say darker, I don't mean like dark like death. I mean like mischievous. The ones that don't really have the best intentions. We do get those, the cranky ones. A lot of people have watchers, which I'm not talking about the angel watchers. I'm talking about like the spirits that just kind of linger and take your energy. That's what those are for. Because witches get drained really easy when the spirit world is kind of close, because we tend to be more in touch. So it helps to ward. But really, there's nothing to fear. It's they twist the stories to fit their agenda, and it's stupid. And note that half of them do the witchy stuff. Like, don't do the witchy stuff, but we're gonna do the witchy stuff, but we're gonna just twist the story to make it okay. That's really what Christians do. And it is what it is. So, like, if you want to celebrate how you want to celebrate, go celebrate. There's nothing to be scared of. The dark and the light are equal. Death and birth are equal. It's all balanced. So, that's all it is. For anything, get a warm, cozy blanket out. Light some candles if you really want to. Make it a night that you open the windows for a crisp air. And enjoy the fall season. You don't have to do a lot to do Samhain. Literally, like, bring in some leaves and stick them on your altar. Boom. You're celebrating. If you don't have any energy in you, when you happen to go to your car to go get groceries or go to work, when you get back, bend over, pick up a leaf, bring it inside, stick it on your altar. That's it. If you order your groceries online, get some fall soap. Wash yourself down with some apple crisp smelling soap. Boom, you're celebrating. Because I know sometimes with our mental issues, we can't always get out of bed, and that really is hard. So take a shower, treat yourself nice, and then you're celebrating. And that's good enough for me if it's good enough for you. So, I think this whole Samhain thing tends to get a little overblown. I think it's funny that a lot of people don't know what it is. I think a lot of people are scared of it for no reason. I try to respect them if they don't want to participate, as long as they don't put down my beliefs. That's how it goes. You don't have to eat my pie, but if you throw it away because you don't want others eating it, we're going to have problems. If you say I shouldn't bring my pie to work, we're going to have problems. That's the difference. Oh, and by the way, witches, especially at least in the United States, I'm not going to talk for other countries. If you request Samhain off, they have to give it to you. If you have vacation, then you might have to use your vacation. You don't get a paid holiday. And if you don't have vacation, then it would be considered an unpaid holiday. So decide what you want to do when it comes to your money and your salary and your bills and shit. But if you say, I need Samhain off, it is from October 31st to November 1st or whatever day you decide to celebrate, because I know it's pretty much the beginning of November for different witches for different things. They can't tell you no, because it's against the Freedom of Religion Amendment. They have to allow you to take it off because it is a religious holiday and you have the right to celebrate your religion. So I don't know if that helps you. If you really want it off and you have a dick boss, you can say, you can't stop me from taking it off, and if you do, I can sue your butt. Now, don't get me wrong. I have an awesome boss. I have 2 awesome bosses, and they would never stop me from taking it off. I take off it anytime I want. Sometimes I don't take it. I think the first year I didn't take it off because I haven't the time and I didn't want to, and I just worked around my work schedule, which is totally fine. But they can't stop you either. It's a religious holiday. So, freedom of religion in the United States is a thing. So, you can see their butts legally. Yes, you have to prove that you've been practicing, that it is your religion, yada, 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 this, that, and the other thing. If this is your first Samhain ever, go in there and be like, hey, I know what Samhain is. I know this and that and the other thing, and this is how I'm going to celebrate it, and yada, yada, yada. But if you just want the holiday off because you want the holiday off, and because no, if you have to go to court, you better know a little bit about Samhain. You can't be like, it's my religion, and you don't know shit about it. That wouldn't really work, now would it? So cover your bases. All right? All right. You have a great day. Like this video. Subscribe if it resonated with you. Share if you want to, but I don't really care about that. And comment, how are you going to celebrate Samhain? Are you just going to take a warm shower? Do you have a big ritual coming up? How are you going to celebrate Samhain? Because I love hearing about the different ways the witches celebrate Samhain. All right? And most importantly, go do magic. Bye, guys.